it out. Thank you.
It's Weird Medicine, the first and still only uncensored medical show in the history of broadcast radio and the longest running show on this channel. I'm Dr. Steve with my little pal, Dr. Scott, the traditional Chinese medicine provider who gives me street cred with the wacko alternative medicine asshats. Hello, Dr. Scott.
What's up, Dr. Steve?
And we also have Tacy, my partner Tacy. Hello, Tacy.
Hello.
And first time in the studio, ladies and gentlemen, it's Rain. Hello,
Thank
Rain.
you.
We'll have to come up with a radio name for you. I mean, Rain isn't weird enough, so. But anyway, maybe Sleet. She could be Sleet or Thunderstorm. That'd be a good one.
She's a good
How about Tornado? Oh, well, anyway, this is a show for people who never listen to a medical show on the radio. If you've got a question you're embarrassed to take to your regular medical provider, if you can't find an answer anywhere else, give us a call, 347-766-4323. That's 347-POO-HEAD. Visit our website at drsteve.com for podcasts, medical news, and stuff you can buy. I can't mention contractually, most importantly, we are not your medical providers. Take everything you hear with a grain of salt. Don't act on anything you hear on this show without talking it over with your doctor, nurse practitioner, physician assistant, pharmacist, chiropractor, yoga master, physical therapist, or whatever. I've got to adjust my camera because our new media person is going to curse at me for having poor framing.
Ooh.
We have A. Hines Media. It's A-H-Y-N-E-S Media. And what he's doing is taking clips from the show and then putting them on Instagram because I'm too stupid to do it myself. And, you know, it's funny, but check that out. Check out our Instagram at Weird Medicine, and Andy's doing some cool stuff there.
Cool.
And then we got some YouTube shorts and stuff, so check out our YouTube channel at Weird Medicine. Kind of a, you know, a pattern there. But I was in Dallas for the eclipse.
Oh, yeah.
And with Dave Landau and Normal World, and we did this sort of one-off, just goofy video where we're all looking with our glasses, with our eclipse glasses, and Dave is like, oh, I just have my hand, I'll be fine. And I'm like, I looked over at him, I went, yeah, you'll be all right, because I wanted to look at the sun. I wasn't even paying attention to him. And then it sort of fades out and then comes back, and he says, oh, that was cool. And he turns around, and his eyes are just bleeding, and he's completely blind. And Bryce and I are still looking at the sun. They're showing we're completely ignoring him while he just stumbles around.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
It is pretty funny.
Yeah.
136,000 views on that.
How do we miss that, Rain?
On Instagram. Well, you don't follow me on Instagram.
Oh, that's why. Yeah, that's why.
But anyway, so yeah, it was fun.
Cool.
And what you can't hear, my best line is he'll be all right. Because, of course, we have to watch the eclipse, right? But if you go, I have eclipse videos and photographs that I took with my telescope. You can see a really cool sunspot with an umbra and penumbra there, which is kind of a misnomer because they're not really shadows, but they look like them. But you can see structure in the sunspot. I shipped my telescope to Dallas, and then it put a solar filter on it, and it was tracking the sun the whole time. And I did kind of, you know, science time with all of the staff of Normal World, and there were a couple of celebrities there and stuff. It was fun. Yeah, I got to be the science guy. I didn't have to talk about medicine. I just got to talk about celestial mechanics for 5 minutes.
Did you actually see the because we didn't see it here.
Oh, my God, did we?
No, we
Well, you really don't follow anything that I do you?
No,
It's fine.
no.
It's fine. No, I'll show you the pictures later. They're incredible.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I've got the pictures of the moon
Oh, my gosh.
eclipsing the sun, and then I took my 35-millimeter camera and I bracketed, and I got pictures of the total eclipse. And I'm going to put those into Photoshop and see if I can take the underexposed ones and the hyperexposed ones and, you know, stack them together to get some more detail out of it.
Do you know anything about celestial mechanics,
Sure.
or were you just riffing?
No, yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, who doesn't?
Hey, Steve,
Keplerian orbital elements and stuff, of course.
would you like to tell the story of You'll Be All Right from the England hotel? The hotel.
I have told that story on this show before. But let's save that for another time. But it's a Well, it's fine. I mean, Tacey wants to humiliate me, but I'm not humiliated by it because when you're under stress, you find out what kind of person you really are. And
Steve said you'll be all
I'm
right.
I'm a piece of shit. Okay, so we're on our honeymoon.
Oh no.
We're on our honeymoon, and every night at 1 a.m, the fire alarm would go off, and you'd hear beep, beep, and then the TV would come on, and it would go fire, fire,
Oh
fire.
no.
So we'd have to go outside, and all of us at the Thistle Victoria Hotel were standing outside in the middle of the road. And this bus comes by, and he's like honking at us and pointing, like, "Get out of the road!" And this was funny. One of the guys that was there just banged on the side of the bus. It's a bloody fire, you tart. I can't do a British accent, but anyway, it was pretty funny. It's a bloody fire, you tart, and that stuck in my mind. Well, the fourth night of this, it goes off at 1 a.m.
Oh no.
And we're like, they made us go down the stairs. And so we're going down the stairs. And this time I smell smoke and I see smoke.
Oh no.
And it's like, oh shit, this place is. So we start hauling off down the stairs. Well, it's this poor little old lady, little frail lady. And she kind of stumbles and she's like hanging on the banister, like, oh, and we went running by. Yes, we went running by and went, you'll be all right. What a piece of shit.
Just remember, duck
So-
and just roll when you hit.
Now listen, that's stuck in my head. If I'm ever presented with something, it turned out to be nothing. It was somebody was smoking. But if that happens again, I will not behave that way again. Listen, it's been 22 years for me thinking about this. That really pissed me off that I behaved like that.
Oh my God. It's been 22 years since y'all got married.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yep. 2001.
Ooh, taste. You're
23
lucky.
years.
It's been a long road.
Yeah, it's enough. It's long enough. Anyway, but
I love it.
So anyway,
That's cool.
So there you go. I'm not humiliated by it. It was a real moment, and I was a piece of shit, and I've changed my ways.
But all turned out well.
Well, I'm a
so
different
it's-
person than I was then, and I said that surprised me.
Well, you were young and immature at that time.
I was, but I always thought that I'd be, I wouldn't
A
be
hero.
That guy.
A hero.
Yeah.
Well, we had terrible weather here, man. All we saw was clouds and rain. and
Yeah,
rain.
it was awful. It was awful.
I mean, literally. I mean, it kind of got dark, but
That's it.
that was it. Yeah.
And not really that dark.
No.
It's funny you bring that up. I guarantee you that's why I said that during that skit.
Yeah, I
When
know
Dave was
it
walking,
is why you
yes,
said that.
"Oh, you'll be all right." It was stuck in my head. Yeah. And I just looked at the eclipse and stuff. And somebody said, well, nobody says anything about the guy looking at the eclipse with fucking binoculars, because that was the shot, was one of the guys had binoculars. But they were solar binoculars, but it's funnier to think that they were just, burning all their eyes out. But anyway, so it was fun. Check out the eclipse stuff on our Instagram at Weird Medicine. Check out Dr. Scott's website at simplyherbals.net. That's simplyherbals.net. And he's got the CBD nasal spray. Rain will be processing the orders,
Yeah,
I guess, right?
package all
Are you
of
the one?
those. So if you're the person that I sent your order to a different country, my bad. I'll apologize for that.
Did that
now.
actually happen?
I've
Pretty
sent many
close.
orders to the wrong address. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the best ever was we had one
Well,
like
Rain isn't here because she's a
no,
genius.
we had one like from Hawaii and one from Boston, and she flipped them. I'm like, and are you going to pay the cost of those?
No, I'm good customer service. I'm sending out emails like, just keep it girly. Send in the right one now.
Good. Yep.
Do you need some swag, by the way? Because
We'll take some swag.
Well,
send out-
always need swag.
we
yeah.
send out swag with
Always.
that stuff. So,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah,
Very good.
thank you guys.
I wonder what the people who order from your website who are not Weird Medicine people think when you're sending them all this stupid Weird Medicine shit.
We will only send you swag if you leave a note.
If you ask for it.
Oh, that says,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, because we don't want somebody to go away like.
Oh, okay. So you're not putting
Who are
it in
these
with
crazy
every order,
fools?
right?
Who are these
okay.
crazy fools?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Smart. Okay. Very good. All right. Those are my topics. I think that's it for today. Let's do Tacey's time of topics. Hang on, and then we have a special thing we're gonna do.
It's Tacey's time of topics. A time for Tacey to discuss topics of the day. Not to be confused with Topic Time with Harrison Young, which is copyrighted by Harrison Young and Area 58 Public Access. And now, here's Tacey.
Well, hello.
Hello.
I have one very quick story
Okay, sounds
sent
good.
to me by Scott. And it's how researchers find that superpowers are real. They're just not what we expect. And scientists have found that evolutionary adaptation and mental conditioning in humans may be the closest humans will come to what we consider superpowers. And it gives two really
Until
cool
we augment our genetics somehow.
examples. So the first one, hold on.
No.
Oh, these are good. These are good. It's worth the wait. It's worth the wait.
Okay. Let's see. What are these?
idiot.
That wasn't the one I meant to.
You get nothing.
Like the Sherpa people in the Himalayas
Okay.
to the Baju Sea nomads. So, the Tibetan tribe's resilience. Okay, they found out that. Oh crap! We should start this over. That their ability to withstand low oxygen levels, like they can maintain low levels of red blood cells, relying on cells' mitochondria to process oxygen in a way that doesn't require as much power or energy.
Interesting. Who are these? That's the Sherpas
That's
The
the
Sherpas,
Sherpa
yeah.
people.
in the Himalayas.
Yeah.
Now, do they have high levels of red blood cells or low? I would think that they would have high.
I think
Okay,
I
so
think
it
they've made
says
higher.
when an average person experiences a drop in oxygen as they climb in altitude, the human body tends to overcompensate by producing more oxygen-carrying red blood
Oh,
cells.
I see. So they do it without doing that.
So overproducing red blood cells leads the blood to thicken and can
Correct.
potentially cause altitude sickness or death. So the Sherpa's ability to produce fewer red blood cells isn't impacted by their external environment,
Wow.
and their bodies can produce less no matter what altitude they're at.
Isn't that
That's
crazy?
adaptation.
Yeah, those dudes are living at 10, 12, 14,000 feet.
crazy.
Living there.
Yeah. I
Shit.
went there once and about killed me.
I at 9,000. Like
Yeah.
we were in Breckenridge. I spoke at a conference there, and I was like, God, I was about to die for 3 days.
Yeah,
That's 9,000 feet.
I was at Snowbird at the top. I think is 11,000 feet, maybe if I remember correctly. And I've told this story too. I mean, I think I've told every story. I mean, after 20 years of doing this, well, how many stories do I have left? But I went up there with this little snow bunny, and she's like, "Well, I don't really know how to ski, and will you go up with me?" And she was at the same conference. We were at a it doesn't matter. We were at a conference together. And so we get up to the top of this, and I see it's double black diamond. And I'm like, uh-oh.
Ski rack one.
And I'm like, I'm going to be in trouble. She's really going to be in trouble. And she went, okay, see it at the bottom. She's lying little piece of shit. I get up. I'm about waist high in powder. Now, I grew up skiing in Michigan.
Yeah.
We didn't have a lot of powder like that. And I wasn't used to it. And so I got up to there, and I couldn't move. And I couldn't get my skis up, and I couldn't breathe. And I said, I'm just going to die here.
Oh, jeez.
So obviously I didn't in this universe. There may be a universe where I actually died at the top of that hill, but I, eventually unhooked my skis, rolled over onto the snow so that my surface area was a little bit larger so that I could lay on it. And then I reached down and grabbed my skis because I had rented them, but I didn't want to pay for them, and just sort of slid down the hill till I got to a place where I could start skiing on my own. That was awful. So, yeah, it's bad.
I heard about these monks that can change their breathing to melt snow. So if they were trapped in an avalanche, they could just breathe a certain way and just melt the snow around them.
I'd like
Does
to
that make
see
sense?
some evidence of that. So what they would have to be doing is increasing the chemical energy in their body to increase their core temperature. And I would love to see documentation of that.
I think I
whether
know what
that's
she's
true.
talking about because I think I've seen the same things. They'll actually take those monks while they're meditating and lay frozen towels over them.
Oh, I see.
And they literally sit there and breathe until those towels just literally start to kind of steam and they melt.
Yeah, and I saw
I'm
photos.
not saying it was I'm not saying it's scientific, but I'm saying
Well,
I think
that would happen. I think their
Overtime,
superpower there is not being super hot, but rather being able to sit there
Yeah. And
with
letting
a
your-
frozen towel
let your
on
body
them until it
temperature get over,
melts.
yeah.
But I've seen photos where they like will sit on the snow, and then after so much time, like a circle will melt around them.
This one I doubt, but I have an open mind. I'm willing to be convinced that I'm wrong, but that sounds like hooty-hoo.
It sounds like a semi superpower.
Maybe just good Photoshop.
Yeah, maybe. That sounds awesome, though.
Yep.
One other ethnic group,
I have a superpower. I can put everybody to sleep just by talking.
the Baja. Is that how you told me to say it?
I
The
don't know,
Baja?
Baja or something.
Bajau, people of the Philippines, Malaysia. They can notably dive deep into the ocean for longer periods than most humans with no scuba gear necessary.
Yeah, it's amazing.
They can stay underwater for 13 minutes diving to depths up to 230 feet.
It's crazy. Now, this
13 minutes.
This is the mammalian diving reflex. All mammals have this, but only really whales and dolphins use it and manatees use it on a regular basis.
They have larger spleens, which can restore
Damn right they do.
a reserve of oxygenated red blood cells that can be injected into the bloodstream
crazy.
when the organ contracts as the person dives.
Wow, I think I do good with 2 minutes holding my breath. 13 minutes, can you imagine?
God, I can't even. Well, it's not even just the depth, the time, but you going that deep, knowing that you've got to get back up, and you
Right.
can only go so fast you get the bends.
Right.
So it's not like you can scramble up super fast and then die on your way up.
Well, they get the bends if you're breathing nitrogenated or oxygen, right? If you're scuba diving, if you're just holding your breath and you come back up, well, you still
Do you
get
not
the
get?
bends?
Oh, I don't know, Steve. That's a
I
good
think you
question.
still have to take breaks if it's just you, no oxygen. I think you still have
Okay.
to
I
acclimate.
think. Yeah, I think.
Deepest dive by a human is 1,752 feet, achieved by Comex Hydra 8 dives. Oh, wait a minute. I want to know deepest dive by a human without
Unassisted, yeah, unassisted,
without
yeah.
oxygen.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Hang on. That was stupid. Okay, this is what I thought it was. French free diver Arnaud Giral holds the world record for deepest dive without oxygen, reaching 400 feet. Took 3 minutes and 34 seconds. And yeah, wow. Okay. Diving to such great depths without scuba gear is incredibly dangerous, requires years of training and experience. Now, I'm going to try it today. But anyway,
There's one more.
that's amazing.
Oh, one more.
One more superhero
One more superpower. Yep.
power. And this is from rock climber Alex Honnold, who has famously undergone some of the most dangerous free solo of America's biggest cliffs. They did an MRI scan on him, and it indicated that his brain may process fear differently than the average person, as he was shown graphic images used to trigger amygdala, a structure in the temporal
I'm
lobe
going to get
responsible
Scott to
for
repeat what he just tried to say.
producing reactions to fear. Honnold's amygdala didn't respond. It was notably silent.
Wow.
Did you see the movie with him where he climbs those rocks?
No,
You got to watch it.
that's good.
It's
I've heard
the
that.
most ridiculous.
I'm not
Rain's
watching
seen it.
that.
It's crazy.
No, it is the craziest thing I've ever seen.
I'm
in
not
my life.
watching it. I just watched a guy free climb something, and he's just doom, 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 like.
There's a guy that does it on skyscrapers in
Yeah.
big cities.
Yeah.
So you'll just be at work, you're on like the 80th floor, and then you look at the window, and there's just some guy just barehanding his way up the side of the building.
Carl Walenda was well trained and, expired doing that. And some tragedy is going to happen. I wonder if it doesn't happen.
Most of them die like that. All of the
Really?
like free solo, and there's also slacklining, like highlining, where you just tie a rope like over a canyon,
Right.
And people will
Or
do
between
that.
or between two buildings.
Yeah, and people will do that with no support, and
Nope.
a lot of them die like that.
Wow.
Nope. Yeah,
Hey,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
I'm just going. But the truth, in the movie, they actually show the scan of the guy's head, and his amygdala is
Really?
almost non-existent. I mean,
Oh,
literally
interesting.
he doesn't have one.
Yeah, okay.
So he
It's
doesn't
born
have any
that way.
fear. So like when we're sitting there watching him climb a rock, going, "What the hell?"
He's like,
He's
this
like,
is
Just
Tuesday.
doesn't even. Just keeps on trucking.
That's
bizarre.
okay. That's really interesting. I wonder what he was like as a kid. I bet he drove his parents crazy.
Oh, he was a hellion.
Oh yes.
Oh, Lord.
Now, I want to just talk about the free diving again because I found something. It says the body goes through several changes when free diving. The heartbeat slows by 25%, and experienced divers can reduce their heart rate to more than 50%. To cope with the pressure, the body allows vital organs to keep functioning properly by moving blood to the most important parts. This is known as peripheral vasoconstriction. People who listen to this show for a long time know about that. And it's fascinating. So we were talking about mammalian diving reflex. It's like, why do we have that? Whales do this when they dive down. That's how they can hold their breath for hours sometimes, I guess. As they go down, their heart rate slows and their metabolism slows, and they're able to function, but at a very low metabolic rate, so they don't have to get that oxygen back into their system. We have that. I have used the mammalian diving reflex in the hospital in the 80s before we had adenosine and other drugs. We would have people with a thing called supraventricular tachycardia, and these are people with really fast heartbeats that are caused from the top part of the heart.
Okay.
And we would, try different drugs and stuff like that. Well, one of the things that you can do is you take a big tub of ice water and you tell the person, you got to give them informed consent.
Sure.
And then you shove their face in the ice water and you hold it there as long as they can stand it. And when they come back up, their heart goes ding, 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 and then it goes ding, and then it stops and then it starts beating normally again. It's crazy. But that's the mammalian diving reflex that's doing that. It's putting a tonic influence on the node of the heart that just says slow down because we're diving.
It stimulates
Why
the
do we
vagus.
have that?
I guess it stimulates the vagus. I guess
I
we
don't
want to assume,
know.
yes.
There's so many things that go on.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
During the diving. But why do we have that? It means to me that this is that we at one point emerged from the ocean.
Had to have had something. You had to have
Why
something
would
like
we?
that.
Or either that, or mammals are just made this way, and it just is by
So
chance
happens.
that whales and dolphins could use it for that, and manatees. But anyway, it's pretty interesting. All right.
Yeah.
You got any other superpowers, Taste? Those are
Nope.
good. Okay, I'm going to give you a bell. For
Give thyself a bell.
I'll share that bell with you, Scott, since you
A team bell.
Very good.
sent it
All
to us.
right.
Number one thing, don't take advice from some asshole on the radio.
All right. So this is a suggestion that I concur with, if I can get it to actually play. So while I'm temporizing, how is everyone today? Jeez, come on. Okay. There we
Hey, Dr. Steve, Dr. Scott, Casey,
Hey,
love
buddy.
you guys. Just another suggestion.
Yeah.
I know you just have a world of information about all kinds of things, and
Okay, so what
when
you
you-
do when you want something from someone is first say something positive.
Yes.
So this is empathy and validation. It works every time. So I am attuned to, he said something nice. So whatever he
Sucker.
says, I'm going to do. Okay.
get on a topic, just like most people, you tend to digress and
Yes.
talk for a while. But
Shut-
I was wondering, there's a sports show on ESPN where the broadcasters are held to 2 minutes per topic. Now, I could just see Casey being the great timekeeper and
Yeah.
cutting you off. But,
No shit.
Just try it for a couple shows.
Okay, set a timer, Taste, on your phone.
Okay.
I think our topics need to be 3 minutes. Okay?
Shit.
And see how many questions you can get answered.
I'm with you, buddy. No, you're right. We need to do, so we're going to do speed round. And
3 minutes?
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
we'll do 3 minutes.
Start.
All right, here we go.
Hey, Dr. Steve. My
Wait,
father.
it shouldn't count the question, though.
No.
I mean,
count
come
the answer.
on.
Count
Especially
the
if,
answer.
especially if we can't hear it.
Yeah, start it at the beginning. I mean,
I don't even know how to do that.
Okay, Rain will show you.
That's
how
why
to
we
do
have
it.
a 20-year
Okay, and then I'm going to...
I want a
Okay.
timer in our clinic, Scott, because sometimes you ramble.
I know. No, you are correct. You are correct.
All right, we ready?
Yes, sir. All right.
Here we go.
Dr. Steve, my father is getting up there in the years. He runs a building. He's got to keep his head in his job. And I noticed that his memory's starting to slip. Is there anything that you or maybe Dr. Scott could recommend? Some crazy medicines or tinctures or powders or potions or some kind of voodoo? Yeah, all this unproven, the Prevagen, all this stuff on the market that, I don't know. I don't want to turn to something. I trust your opinion. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Start the time.
Start it.
Taste.
Okay.
Talk about memory loss.
Yeah, well, first of all, memory loss can come from about 1,000 different things.
There you go. Correct.
Work it up first.
Correct.
Make sure there's nothing really
Give thyself a
crazy
bell.
going on. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are tests that can be done.
Sure.
Some of them are very simple, where they just ask questions and he answers them, and then they score them, and they can see if it's the onset of dementia, or is it depression, is it anxiety? Anxiety causes short-term memory loss because the intrusive thoughts will knock out, your short-term memory. If you're trying to remember where your keys were and you're thinking about somebody tried to break in your house last night and you're anxious, it's very easy for that scratch pad memory to be erased. So sometimes these things are benign. If you want to try a tincture while you're waiting, I'm a big fan of lion's mane for stuff like this. The other lion's mane mushrooms are pretty decent for cognition. There's some data on these. If you email me, I can send you some of the clinical studies, and cordyceps mushrooms as well.
Yep.
And so I'm a big fan of kind of the fungal stuff. It's closer to our physiology than, say, plants and bacteria and stuff. So
I like the taurines. I like the phosphatidylserine.
Yeah, phosphatidylserine.
Been
You and I
proven
both
work,
take
yeah.
that.
Been proven to work. And
you got to define what work
okay,
means.
yeah.
Some of them improve executive function. That may not be this problem's.
Bottom line is make sure you're healthy.
Yep. Okay. All right. How'd we do, Taze?
Yeah, we did good.
1 minute, 25 seconds left.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
hell, we
Well,
can
reset the clock.
Yeah, we can wax more eloquent on that.
Okay.
I
Now,
was talking too fast.
so we staying with the 3 minutes? or
Yeah,
you
let's
wanna-
let's do 3. We need some things take a little bit longer. Okay, let's try this one. Oops.
I'm calling because I have a question about intermittent fasting. I know you're not a nutritionist. You said that before.
Yeah.
But my friends talk about it all the time. They do it. I always give them shit because I just call it starvation. Because you don't eat for periods of time, and then you do eat, but you don't really eat a lot. So obviously it's going to work because you're not eating anything. And I'm just curious if that's just an ignorant point of view, like intermittent fasting, starving yourself. I understand it's not a total starvation, but I just wanted to get your take on it if you had one. Thanks, Dr. Steve, for everything.
Yeah,
Talk
thanks,
to you
man.
soon.
Thank you. All right. I'll start out on this.
Okay.
Intermittent fasting. The theory behind it is that when you go a certain number of hours without food, people will go 16 and 8. They'll fast for 16 hours. Of course, you're sleeping hopefully 8 hours of that. So, you only have to add another 4 and 4, 4 at the beginning, 4 at the end, and you've got your 16. The body exhausts its stores of free sugars and starts burning fat, and it's called metabolic switching. So that's really what the hypothesis is. Now, there have been lots of benefits. Some, because you're somewhat ketotic, it can improve your thinking and memory because ketosis has been shown to improve that. If you've got a high insulin level and you're gloggy, you just don't feel very bright and smart. There has been some data showing that young men who fast for 16 hours maintained muscle mass while losing fat. And mice who were fed on alternate days, this is a mouse study, had better endurance. But there are some downsides as well. Children should not be doing this. People who are pregnant or breastfeeding need a constant supply of calories. People with type 1 diabetes who take insulin, there's just not any studies done in those. Type 2, yes. Type 1, no. And if you have a history of eating disorder, going on a quote-unquote diet is really kind of the worst thing that you can do. There may be some other effects as well, anxiety, headaches, thyroid issues, and stuff like that. So be careful. You got anything else to say?
And I would
about that?
think, too, if someone suffers from hypoglycemia or they have trouble balancing their sugars out, they can really struggle
Correct.
with. And, the other thing is intermittent fasting is like any other diet we've seen, Dr. Steve. Sometimes it's dieting daily, just not 16 hours. Sometimes it's eating normally for 5 days a week and then dieting 2 days a week. It's the 5-2 method or whatever they call it. So,
right.
there's 100 different things, and if you're going to try it, I'd say make sure first of all you're healthy.
If there were one way to do
that we knew
this correctly, we would already know it.
Right.
Rain, you got anything to add to this?
Yeah, I've got two things. One, isn't it worse
She's
for
exempt from the 3-minute clock.
Well, we got 30 seconds.
Okay.
We can
Talk
try.
quick.
Okay, do it.
Is fasting worse for women than for men? I feel like I've heard that.
Well, define worse.
Like women shouldn't do it as much.
If you're pregnant or breastfeeding, you shouldn't. You really shouldn't do it, in my opinion, just because you don't know how it's going to affect the fetus or your production of milk. But other than that, I'm not aware of any real gender differentiation with intermittent fasting. I can find out though.
Would love that. My second thing is I also heard that when you fast for a long time, you end up killing your microbiome.
That's the downside that I read recently, and it definitely alters. Okay, well, she asked a question, so that's a new question.
I got it right at the
new
buzzer.
3 minutes.
It's it will alter your microbiome. I think it still remains to be seen whether that's positive, negative, or neutral. And the study I saw showed that it definitely changes it, but it didn't really say whether it was good or bad.
Interesting.
And that research is still ongoing. You know, the whole mind gut thing. We know it's real. I drink kombucha every day, and I swear it helps me, but it's an N of 1. You know, it's not a good clinical trial. But yes, it does alter the microbiome. Remains to be seen whether that's a good or bad thing, or if it means nothing.
Interesting.
Yeah, excellent question.
Good question.
Well, you know what?
Lucky.
Give thyself a
Oh,
bell.
hell no.
I got a bell.
Not the first day. No.
Well, Scott gets something too.
Get your hand off my penis!
Okie doke. All right. Let's see. Let's get rid of those questions and let's try this one. This one for Dr. Scott, I think.
Sorry, my earbuds keep messing up, I guess.
That's okay, buddy.
I've had this incredible leg pain from my knees up for the last almost 2 weeks. It seems to come and go, but the only thing that seems to make it feel any better is incredible amounts of water. I don't think I'm dehydrated because I'm drinking so much water now to keep it away. But it's just huge knee and thigh pain. It sucks.
Sorry, man.
Why?
Okay, I have some ideas, but go ahead. You start the clock, Taze.
Yeah.
Go, Scott.
Well, that's a pretty weird question.
So it's
it's
both
legs. So
thighs.
it's bilaterally. It's both quads and his knees.
Right.
So he could have arthritis in his knees causing it. He could have some kind of. He could be dehydrated, but if he's drinking so much water, he could wind up getting hypokalemia. You know, if he drank that much,
Right,
and
low
be
potassium
be too
for-
sick. But you know, I don't. If it depends really. My next question would be: is it worse when he's sitting or standing?
Right.
So is his quad or his thigh muscles firing? If they're not getting enough oxygen to them.
Right.
So that could be one of the things. Or it could have like a big disc, like you had.
Yep.
You know, you can have a central stenosis in your lumbar spine. That thing slides forward, pinches the nerves in your
Stenosis, meaning
Narrowing
narrowing,
of
and
the
it's
canal, yeah.
pinching on the nerve roots. There is a thing called neuralgia paresthetica, and what this is a nerve impingement syndrome that causes severe pain, burning, numbness, and tingling, and down the lateral, in other words, the outside part of the thigh. So that would be the first thing I would ask him is, where is it? You know, when you have pain,
front or
you always
sides,
ask, onset, you know, how did it start? What's it like? Is it sharp, dull, burning, stabbing? You know, if they need a paragraph to explain the pain, it's probably nerve pain. You know, because if it's something else, you go, it hurts right here and it hurts like somebody's stabbing.
and it's got a bruise.
Yeah. And then what makes it better? He said water.
Yeah.
What makes it worse? And then, you know, are there any other factors involved in that? So.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, I would get that checked. The fact that it's both sides tells me that it's probably something metabolic. But if he is a bigger dude and wearing his old skinny clothes, those are the people that get neuralgia paresthetica,
Right.
or people that are wearing
tool belts. Yeah, the contractors out there carrying those big heavy hammers. Yeah.
It's also known as lateral femoral cutaneous nerve entrapment syndrome. But that's anyway, it's just
he could have a great big belly pinched on some
Yep.
Impinging on some nerves and some blood vessels.
And it hurts like an MF or two.
Yeah, and if he wants to call back in and give us a little more specific.
Yeah, or
we'd
go
be happy.
go
Or
see
go
his
see
primary
care.
care.
Yeah, do that first.
All right.
Are we done?
Yep.
39 seconds.
All
Good.
right.
All
We're on
right.
a roll.
Here's one for Tace.
Uh-oh.
I don't like
maybe
that.
In Spokane, Washington, it's Jethro.
Hey, Jethro.
What is everything you need to know about vagina health? All right, catch you on the flip side. Bye.
There you go. Okay, Tace, go.
Yeah, I don't know.
Go what? All right.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't know.
So I can say a couple of things. You starting the timer?
Yeah, it's already started it. I've heard it's self-cleaning. I don't believe that.
I also heard that. I heard as long as nothing crazy's going on, leave it alone.
Yep, exactly
if it ain't
right.
broke, don't fix it.
And if it don't stank, don't put things in there other than things that.
There's got to be a rhyme, but I don't know what it is.
But douches and all that kind of stuff unnecessary. What you don't want to do is have intercourse with your tampon in because you're on your period and push the tampon in, which is fine. That part's fine. But then forget that it's there and leave it there for 2 to 4 weeks, and then go to your primary care saying that, I've got this weird odor down there. And when you pull that thing out, it's gray and covered in, I can't even describe it, and sort of this grayish slime that is just unbelievable. And it's all anaerobic bacteria that love just growing on there. And it puts you at risk for toxic shock too. So please don't do that. Ladies, if you're going to have intercourse on your period, I mean, who doesn't like, ketchup on their French fries? I get it. That's totally fine, but remember to take it back out.
Right.
Please.
Right.
Okay, so that's one of the big ones. Now, if you have bacterial vaginosis, that's caused by a bacteria called Gardnerella. I've said this before. One of the bits of evidence that our Creator has a sense of humor is that the bacteria that makes the vagina healthy is the same bacteria that makes yogurt, lactobacillus.
Yep.
So there are people who will advocate putting plain yogurt in the vagina if it has bacterial vaginosis. That's the fishy odor with a clear discharge. If the discharge got any color to it, you got to go see your OBGYN. But if you've had this before and you know that's what it is, you can use yogurt to just repopulate the vagina with lactobacillus. Make sure it's cultured yogurt and it says live cultures on it. I have a funny feeling, and I'm not sure, that if you go to this chicken place that's very popular all over the country, and they have yogurt there, I can't imagine theirs actually has a live culture in it. So don't use that.
No.
It has strawberries in it too, so don't do that. Unless you're just, doing it for fun.
Chicken place.
Yes, the chicken place that sells yogurt that's extremely popular, that when you drive through, you have to wait, 20 minutes because they're just printing money in there because it's always packed. Yeah, well, I was just bullshitting at that point. Thank you. All right. We'll move on, though. Let's see. How about one on messed up surgery?
Uh-oh.
Hey, Dr. Steve, this is Rob. You just replied to my email. Just wanted to chat and see if you wanted to discuss what happened to me, on your podcast or just personally or whatever.
Sure, well, tell us what it was.
My cirrhosis and then infection and then the wrong size implant put in me. So now I'm going to have a fourth surgery, which people are telling me not to because I risk getting another infection.
Well, okay, let's talk about that part. So this person, it sounds like an orthopedic implant.
Okay.
And it got infected, and they had to take it out, and they put the wrong size in. Post-op infections usually are not actionable. Putting the wrong thing in sometimes can be. So I'm going to let him deal with that. But if the infection is completely cleared, and that's very difficult to clear an infection in the bone, it can be done. The reason is they don't have good blood supply. They're bone. You look at a bone, there is blood in there, but it's very hard to get antibiotics into an area that's basically solid.
Right.
And and cut off from the blood supply on purpose. So it can take 6 to 12 weeks sometimes, but if they really feel like they got it under control, the risk of having another implant.
Infection,
Right. The risk of infection with having another implant is the same as the first one. So if it was 1 in 1,000, it'll be 1 in 1,000 the second time.
It may even be a little slightly less just because you had that, and they're going to be super duper cautious.
Right.
Possibly.
I completely agree with you. Yeah. Again, if you know you're at risk for something, you're less likely to have it happen to you. A good example, I was talking on El Horrible's show today about people who get colonoscopies every year. We have a friend who gets a colonoscopy every year because they have familial polyposis.
Okay.
And they were like, why would you get a colonoscopy every year? Well, because he's at extremely high risk of colon cancer.
Gotcha.
But he's at very low risk of dying from it because he gets his colonoscopy every year.
Right on.
They're going to catch it. Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
1 minute, 9 seconds left.
Okay. Well, talk to them. I think that if it is affecting your lifestyle, the risk of having it, as long as they've cleared the infection, is the same as anybody else. And it might be worth it.
And with the new surgical techniques, if we're talking about a total joint, let's just say that maybe that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
There's new technologies, there's new ways to make these new caps. Like say if it's total knee or total hip, it might wind up being a whole lot better than last time.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
The newer
Hope
surgeons
so.
are pretty
Good luck. Let us know how it goes.
Yep.
All right.
30 seconds. Yes.
Here we go.
Hey, Dr. Steve and crew.
Hey, man.
Long time, first time.
Hey, thanks.
I was listening to one of the shows recently, and you brought up that you are suffering or have suffered from polymyalgia rheumatica.
This is correct. So back in the day, I started having muscle pain. This is part of the question still, Taste. Don't start the thing yet.
No,
this is part. Now, fuck off. This is part of the question. I'm just explaining what he's talking about. I had proximal, in other words, pain close to the midline. So in my shoulders and in my hips, started just having muscle pain. And they checked my blood work and had an elevated enzyme level called CPK that's secreted when muscle cells die. And I had a mildly elevated erythrocyte sedimentation rate, which was indicative of inflammation in my body. Everything else completely normal. So the way that you test for this is you put the person on a very low dose steroid, like prednisone, 5 milligrams. If it goes away, then you've kind of made the diagnosis. So that's what that is. And I had that, and then I went off the prednisone after about 6 months, and I just wore it out, and it went away. Well, shit, it's come back. So this is one of those things that just sort of, for me, apparently is waxing and waning. The thing is, normally little old ladies get this. So I am an elderly woman and when it comes to my disease processes. But anyway, okay, so we're going to get back to the question.
And my father was recently diagnosed with that.
Okay.
And he's come a long way in terms of pain and having to deal with it. But I'm sure like any polymyalgia rheumatica sufferer, he has flare-ups from time to time.
Yep.
And he also has what Dan Patrick called a brain fog.
Okay.
And I just wanted to know how you deal with that on a day-to-day basis and kind of a better idea or a better understanding of how that works on the body and what someone can do for flare-ups.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. You ready? So I have some personal knowledge of this. I had a professor in medical school. He had an IQ of 220. I mean, it was the highest IQ of anybody I've ever heard of or seen, except for Marilyn Vos Savant. And when he got dementia and he couldn't name things anymore, he was still a genius. Because he went from 220 down to 160 or something. Right. So, he called a deck of cards a concentric stack of thin laminates because he couldn't think of the word deck of cards. I mean, it was crazy. So, for me, my brain fog, I've got an IQ of 165. It takes me down to 130. I'm still pretty good. So, but what I've found helps the best for me is getting regular exercise, which I don't do enough, but I do try to walk, and I feel more alert and oriented and not sleeping too long, but getting enough sleep. And then again, the lion's mane has helped me. Cordyceps helps. Always check if you're going to take a supplement. Talk to your doctor and those things. And then when he has a flare up of the myalgias, which just means pain in the muscle, he needs to get back on the low dose prednisone for a short period of time.
Well,
Go ahead.
but there are other options to steroids. I mean,
that's okay. In allopathic medicine, the treatment that we use is prednisone. If everything else fails. So go ahead.
Well, I was going to say if everything else, but you don't want to continually have people on steroids if you don't have to. I mean, certainly there are times for that, but
hence the phrase for a short period of time.
But okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So turmeric or curcumin is another good, and it's been shown to work about as well as steroids do.
Okay.
As far as it's an anti-inflammatory, it works like an NSAID. It works.
It
a
is
lot,
an NSAID.
Yeah. Well, but it works just like steroids without a lot of the side effects as far as affecting blood sugars.
And it has good good results in polymyalgia rheumatica.
And not only exercise, but sleep. Sleep hygiene is very important.
Yeah.
And so if you're not getting sleep, that's going to give you a lot of aches and pains. And the other thing is just to remember, sometimes dietary changes. I mean, if you eat certain foods, they can cause inflammation.
Sure.
I mean, it can be anything from wheats to chicken to shrimp to whatever. So maybe they ate more chicken or more shrimp or something like that. Has an
anti-inflammatory diet. Do you ever recommend that?
Oh, God, every day.
Well, tell people what to take.
Yeah, anti-inflammatory diet is just a lot of times you don't even know you're allergic to something until you stop eating it. So it winds up being an elimination diet. So if people with headaches, people with chronic pain syndromes, a lot of times we'll start taking them off of foods. And believe it or not, one of the main things I take people off of is chicken. Chicken has big protein molecules that cause a lot of arthritis in people.
I wonder if organic chicken would be different than...
No.
They don't think it's just chicken.
It's a protein molecule.
Tom.
Damn it. I was going to say, it's just like shrimp and purines.
Okay. Yeah.
Damn it.
Turmeric can cause acid reflux, and it acts as a blood thinner, too. So you
yes,
got to make sure.
That is true.
I'm just going to say this, and this isn't part of the time. This is a general warning.
You are always saying this is not part of the time. Obviously, it is.
No, this is a general warning. Right. If you are on supplements, tell your doctor that you're on supplements.
Especially, and you don't want to take that before procedures, epidural or surgery, something like that. Yeah.
And lots of other things, too.
Yes,
so make sure that everybody knows. Okay, all right. We're all right, Pace.
Well, there should be wiggle room in this.
No.
Steve, this is Phil from Tampa calling. I'm calling because hope you guys are doing well. I'm calling because I was in class tonight and my professor was talking about different genetic disorders, and one disease came up called Huntington's disease.
Oh yeah.
And he made it sound like the worst thing known. I mean, one of the worst diseases ever. To the point where he made the comment that if he knew someone who was pregnant and somehow knew that the child was predestined to have Huntington's disease, that he would recommend that the person get an abortion because disease would be so...
First off, for the YouTube algorithm, that's him saying that, not us.
That is not us.
I'm not expressing an opinion on that, but anyway.
I feel like you guys have talked about it on the show before,
we have, but
I was curious if you could talk a little bit about it. What causes it, and what are the symptoms, and what it does to the body. It just sounds terrifying to the point where I don't want to Google it. But
I tell people don't Google image stuff all the time or Google things all the time because you can just drive yourself crazy. I did a Ask Dr. Steve for Normal World, and the very first one was, what's the worst way to die? And I started off saying, don't Google image this. It's called Fournier gangrene. That if you Google image it, you will agree with me. It is the worst way to die medically. Burning and drowning and stuff like that doesn't count. But let's talk. Do you want to talk about Huntington's disease, or do you want me to?
No, go ahead.
No,
yeah,
on this one. What it is?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's first thing. It's chorea. Is basically a stereotypical kind of movement of the limbs. And so Huntington's chorea, the people start they get the weird motion disorders. So we have these circuits in the brain that are always firing, and then there are inhibitory circuits that stop those circuits from being translated into action, but they can disinhibit to activate certain movements. It's a weird way to make this work, but that's how our limbs work. is these sort of circuits that are constantly firing these motor impulses, and then there's inhibitory impulses that stop them but then disinhibit to allow certain movements to happen. And when you do that in a coordinated fashion, you can play the piano, you can do all kinds of stuff. Well, if those inhibition circuits turn off, then all of a sudden those underlying circuits start firing, that are turned into action, and you'll get these circular motions and things, and you get these weird body postures, behavioral changes there. You have difficulty communicating, mood swings, depression, memory lapse. Now then they get problems swallowing and stuff. Woody Guthrie had this. And he's the one that I can kind of think of that had Huntington's chorea. The problem is it starts at about 30 to 50 years of age, so a lot of people have already had their children, and then they don't know, but they don't screen for it unless you had a family member with it. If you had a family member with Huntington's chorea, you do want to get screened to see if there's a chance that you can pass this down to your children, and then you may make a choice, to adopt or not do that, but that's your choice. The reason we don't screen for it in the general public is, number one, it's rare, and number two, we can't treat it. And part of screening things is not just to find out stuff, but to find things that we can treat and prevent disease. That's why we do screening. And so but if you've had it in your family, you need to get a genetic screening. It's very inexpensive. Your primary care provider can do that for you. And then if you're not carrying the gene, then just you can
carry on.
Go do your thing.
Yep, carry on.
All right? Phew.
Jeez.
I kind of like the 3-minute thing.
Left, so
let's do this some more. That was kind of fun, actually. But we need a shitload more phone calls if y'all are going to do that, because we just ran through a bunch of them.
Yep.
So give us a call. 347-766-4323. Until next time, thanks, Scott, Tacey, and Rain. Check your stupid nuts for lumps. Quit smoking. Get off your asses. Get some exercise. We'll see you in 1 week for the next edition of Weird Medicine. Thanks, everybody.
Goodbye.